You know, when you think of news, you think of media, you think of journalism in the Williston Basin, what you think of is KEYZ 660. That's where people go for their information. That's where they've gone for years for their information, and that's where they trust the information they get. Robin Travers is the news director at KEYZ 660, and there's a fight going on in Williams County. There is. Let me describe this to you before I bring Robin in. You've got two school districts. District 1 that was the metro area of Williston. Okay, so think urban. Then you've got District 8 that was all of that surrounding the city, rural area. And what those two districts, those two school districts voted to do was to become one, District 7. Now the road's getting a little bumpy. And Robin's been covering this. Let's bring her in and get a chance to visit with her. Robin Travers, good to have you back here on Down the Road.
Thank you so much, Joel. And I just want to say, I'm digging the beard.
Yeah, well, it saves me on razor blades. How's that? So I want to let you. It's best described by you. Describe to people what the heck is happening with the school district there.
We are embroiled in controversy from a number of fronts. I'm trying to put it as simply as I can. And part of the core problem that has surfaced early October, regular board meeting, the 7th of October, the business manager for the new district, Williston Basin School District 7, Sherry Hazer, she'd been the business manager for District 8, but had to compete for that job for District 7, so she's the District 7 business manager. But it came to light that when the schools combined, they're combining funds and other assets as well. From her first look at the finances, there's a $2 to $4 million shortfall of funds from District 1. And so part of that, that's gotten everybody, concerned about where is that money. The prevailing theory is that no, someone didn't take it when the schools merged. Most folks and board members think it's a big number. I get it, but that it's probably clerical in nature. Essentially, the bank accounts aren't reconciling, and so at that meeting, it was determined that Mrs. Hazer would have additional time to pore over the financial statements. She needed some additional time to see if she couldn't indeed find that money. And an audit, because school districts are audited every year, so an audit for 2021 is also back. That has not been yet reviewed. In the meantime, the board went into a special meeting last weekend and the world blew up. That meeting, the sole agenda item was to move to go into executive session to discuss with the school district attorney their liabilities, the pros and cons of going into negotiations with Superintendent Dr. Jeffrey Fake. So of course, folks are scratching their head going, well, why, if there was a decision at a regular board meeting to kind of let the financials play out, do some more digging, come up with a report. And also Dr. Thake has not yet had his first evaluation, which was due for November 15th. Why are we talking about negotiating with the superintendent? That doesn't really signal anything that's good generally, okay? Long story short, they went into executive there was a open session before that where it got very heated, and it came to light that one board member, John Kasmer, had taken it upon himself to have a conversation with Dr. Thake, to which, and he did admit this, to which he offered his opinion. He said, it's just my opinion, that it wasn't looking good for Dr. Thake, that he wasn't going to get the votes he needed on an evaluation. Next thing you know, we find out just ahead of that the rumor was the good doctor had cleaned out his office. That was confirmed in open session last Friday. So it'd be a week ago tomorrow. And so the community is just scratching their heads. Teachers, especially, are very concerned, about what this means educationally. So in open session, it got very contentious. Board member Dr. John Casimir said, I just offered my opinion. I didn't tell him he wouldn't be non-renewed. And other board members basically said, well, Mrs. Sarah Williams directly said, I feel like there's a leak on this board. Why are certain of us finding these things out now? Next thing you know, the superintendent's put it out of his office and we're caught blindsided. They did finally agree to go into executive session. Board President Chris Junt came out and said, by way of a prepared statement, that the board took, and I quote, no action. They took no action involving Dr. Thake, job, his job duties, performance pay, any of that. They took no action. So there wasn't really much for the media to report on other than they took no action. Over the weekend, my phone was blowing up with community members reaching out to me. I did not see it firsthand, but it was made plain to me that over social media, yes, there is a leak. What was leaked out was the fact that over the weekend, Dr. Thake was put on paid administrative leave. Nobody saw that coming. And that the board president, Chris Junt, had been given a green light of sorts to negotiate with Dr. Thake to buy him out of his contract in exchange for a resignation. So media, we here at 660 KEYZ News Radio I spent the better part of my weekend dealing with that and trying to get confirmation of same. And the board president, Chris Junt, would only confirm that, yes, the doctor was put on paid leave. He has the unilateral authority to do that in his capacity as the president, and that's all he would say. He continued to stick by his statement that they took no other action. So subsequent to that, fast forward, this has been very alarming to the Williston Education Association, WEA. We attended a press conference that the president, Eric Rook, held on Tuesday, late afternoon Tuesday, to basically say that WEA had met Monday night and they have voted, they have unanimously held a vote of no confidence on board president Chris Junt, and they demanded his immediate resignation. On the heels of that, Mr. Junt came out with an official statement just yesterday, strongly refusing to resign. He will not do that, basically saying that, leadership, must continue, and that's what it is, must continue in the face of adversity, and that he didn't feel that the Education Association and Mr. Rook were really within their rights to demand his resignation, and that someone has to look out for to be fiscally and academic, and to hold the district, to fiscal responsibility and academic accountability. And he's also hanging on to his position that all executive sessions have been properly noticed, properly called, and properly held. And then the last piece I will add, this will be new to you today, my friend, is that my colleague, Mike Reuter, especially, had a concerned person in the district. I will say it's an employee of the district. The district has roughly 600 employees. The district, from their communications person yesterday, all district employees were emailed, were sent an email urging them to review a number of board policies, and that was the first email of what would be several coming every other week regarding board policies. That list of about 5 policies included the policy on employee speech and data protection and security breaches. So our source reached out wanting to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation, basically to say that they felt that this was due in large part for the fact that the Williston Education Association had spoken out. that they were being strong-armed by being reminded of the speech policy, not to speak to recent developments.
Just a couple. I know.
That's as short as I can make it for your audience. I apologize.
No. You work the timeline. You work the story. I just tried to stay out of your way because you know it better than I do. Just a couple of quick questions. Number one, you talked about the money. Anywhere from $2 to $4 million. Is there anyone up there believing that District 1 in any way, shape, or form to get the consolidation in any way misrepresented the amount of money they had?
That's a very, very good question. There are those, it ought to be interesting. The topic of a forensic audit, I mean, this really interests me, although it's not my wheelhouse. But the topic of a forensic audit did come up in open session last Friday. They had not at that time called for one, but they are going to come back to that idea in the regular board meeting in about a week's time. So it's playing out on social media. There are those from the former District 8 who believe that, yes, the pocketbook was misrepresented.
Okay. One other one, and I just have seconds for the answer, but in terms of the meetings, the executive sessions, are they being honest, the board, about coming out and sharing information as per open record? They can go ahead and meet, privately and discuss whether or not, but if they come out and they don't tell the public that they put someone on administrative leave and that was some action that they took, then they're not adhering to what happened in that executive session. That really is what's part of the prevailing thought here. And what is part of their argument is these executive sessions have not been held to the letter of the law. Board President Jones says they have. But I'm here to tell you, because I asked this twice during the press conference that Mr. Rourke held, there was a leak. That key piece of, and I feel for Dr. Thake, because I feel if I was in his shoes, there's all of my business in the street, okay? Mm-hmm. That key piece of a board president was given the green light to negotiate essentially a buyout in exchange for a resignation. That was a leak. Someone on that, if that happened in executive session, we were told no action was taken. Someone on that board leaked that to another outlet, and hence it blew up on social media. Exactly.
And that's been confirmed.
Robin, you're doing a great job. We're going to call you again. You know we are, because this is going to continue to play out, and we'll get more into the dynamics of where the board members come from. District 1, District 8, some of the people that were hired. But I appreciate you coming down the road with us.